It began on a tranquil evening when I resolved to embrace the moment fully. With mother absorbed in one of her interminable phone conversations above, the house seemed to belong solely to us. I nestled onto my father's lap in the cozy living room, sharing playful whispers of secrets meant only for him. He commanded, "Stop." He asserted that it was perilous. Yet, I pressed my lips against his. He returned my kiss. In that same house where I once played with dolls and pleaded for bedtime tales, I kissed my father as though he were my beloved. He pulled me onto the bed, tearing my clothes asunder. I entwined my legs around his waist, yearning for something deeper. His hand slipped into my pants, a gentle finger exploring the contours of my body. In that moment, I found myself utterly adrift. Uncertain of my surroundings. The emotions were extraordinary, the pinnacle of my existence. I simply had to seize the moment. He struck me with a force that suggested he had been anticipating this moment for an eternity. My name is Celeste. I confidently grasp all that I yearn for. This is the tale of how I dared to explore the unimaginable. Welcome. If you're just joining us, this is indeed my channel. Greetings once more. If you're just joining us, be sure to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and ring that notification bell. Greetings to our returning subscribers, and thank you for stopping by. Let us plunge into the depths. I grew up in a charming castle. This is not the conventional castle adorned with stone towers or opulent thrones. Rather, it is a modern suburban stronghold in Chicago, showcasing gleaming floors, exquisite furnishings, and a walk-in closet that surpasses the size of many bedrooms. Dorian and Vera crafted everything for me. The universe was presented to me on a gleaming silver platter. Gowns, gadgets, getaways, whatever my heart desired, it was mine for the taking. I found myself in a position where nothing needed to be earned. With just a smile or a pout, the world around me effortlessly aligned. Perhaps that was the inception, the notion that I could possess anyone, even him. Perhaps over the top, the school experience mirrored the rest. Educators elevated my grades beyond what I truly deserved. The boys looked up to me with admiration. The girls harbored feelings of jealousy towards me. I possessed the ability to captivate an audience, altering the mood with nothing more than a soft word or a gentle gesture. I felt no embarrassment regarding it. Power was my desire, and I relished each fleeting moment it brought me. Within the confines of home, the narrative shifted entirely, becoming far more treacherous. Father had an undeniable charm. He possessed that timeless appearance, towering stature, muscular arms, and a voice that blended the roughness of gravel with the smoothness of velvet. He flourished in the world of finance, returning home with an aura of triumph. In my childhood, he would twirl me around, affectionately referring to me as his girl. I would chuckle and melt into his arms. Yet, a transformation occurred once I reached the age of 18. His embraces stretched out, carrying a weight that felt distinct, as if he were no longer merely cradling his daughter. I observed various elements. His gaze remained unwavering as I entered the kitchen, clad in nothing but a shirt. His hands rested for a heartbeat longer than necessary on my shoulder. He consistently maintained his composure, never venturing beyond the limits. Palpable sensation coursed through me. The air was thick with tension, a web of intrigue hanging delicately in the balance. It felt as though he questioned the person I would become. I wasn't, too. Mom was perpetually in motion, frequently attending charity events, engaging in yoga sessions, and enjoying evenings out with her friends. She adored me without a doubt. It seems she placed a level of trust in me that may have been excessive. Perhaps she simply placed an excess of faith in Dad. The house slowly transformed into our sanctuary, just the two of us. Perhaps it was a figment of my imagination initially, or perhaps it was something more tangible. Yet it all started as a mere flicker. I would parade in fitted shorts, leaning excessively as I retrieved an item from the ground. Inquire whether he believes I appear breathtaking in my new dress. At first, he would merely chuckle, shake his head, and treat my concerns as if they were utterly absurd. I noticed the glimmer in his gaze. I glided by him in the hallway, and I noticed his breath catch in his throat. In that moment, the realization struck me. He resonated with her thoughts. The boundary we were never intended to breach. The scene had already become a haze. One evening, I wandered into the living room, adorned solely in his button-down shirt. He reclined on the couch, absorbed in the pages of a book. I maintained my composure, as if it were all trivial, grabbed a soda from the fridge and settled down beside him. His body became rigid. He averted his eyes from mine. "Hello there." I tucked my legs beneath me. "You ought to place something on Celeste," he remarked. "What is the reason behind this?" I inclined my head, pretending to be unaware. "I have donned a swimsuit in the past, and that certainly stands out." I inclined my body closer. "Is that so?" No reply. Rose abruptly and dashed out of the room. That was quite an enticing prospect. I lingered, anticipating the moment when Mom would set off for her weekend spa retreat once more. All was in place. Vino, melodies, soft illumination. I asked Dad to join me for a movie. I expressed my longing. The moments we shared. He positioned himself beside me, radiating tension and wariness. I let out a hearty laugh that echoed through the room. I gently grazed his knee as I leaned in to replenish his glass. As the film progressed, I rested my head on his shoulder, sensing the electric energy of his body vibrate beneath my cheek. "You're intoxicated," he murmured. "No, prime literature." With a sense of exhilaration, he leaped up and made his way to bed. Yet another obstacle, yet he found himself unraveling. Striking. Proceed with the third endeavor. The essence of a Sunday morning lingers in the air. Mother was at the church. I imagined Dad would be ensconced in the den, absorbed in the pages of a book. I entered, adorned solely in delicate lace underwear and a tank top so sheer it was nearly transparent. I clutched his coffee mug firmly and leaned in to hand it to him. "Good morning," I exclaimed with a bright smile. He looked up, frozen in place. His eyes traveled down my form, settling on my thighs. He shut his eyes and averted his gaze. "Please put on your clothes now. What's stopping us?"
I meida jest.
"Do you not find yourself captivated by the spectacle before you?" His jaw clenched. "I am your progenitor. The question has eluded your grasp." I settled onto his lap. He released me, and that was merely the beginning. There was no kiss that day, and it has remained untouched ever since. Yet, in an instant, everything transformed. It was evident in his gaze, a longing he could comprehend. Without a moment's hesitation, he burst forth from the room. The stillness hummed with an electric tension. 3 days later, it occurred. Mother has departed once more. In the kitchen, barefoot and swaying to the rhythm of the music, I was busy crafting a midnight snack when Dad strolled in, clad in his robe, his hair a tousled mess from sleep. "It's time for you to be in bed," he said. "Absolutely, you should." He edged nearer. I remained still, gazing intently and savoring the instant. He pressed his lips against mine. It was clumsy, hesitant, undeniably authentic. Once that boundary was breached, retreat was no longer an option. That evening, he guided me to the couch in the living room and took possession of me. Certainly not his daughter, but rather his lady. The following morning, we chose to remain quiet about it. Our eyes met, a blend of embarrassment and thrill igniting in the space between us. I assumed that would be the conclusion. Only a single disastrous mistake, yet it fell short of achieving that aim. We dove into the depths, the waves pulling us under. That was an error in judgment, contorted. We simply could not stop. I truly had no desire to. Once you indulge in the illicit, all else fades away. That initial evening with Dad turned everything on its head. It does not exist beyond these confines. It resides deep within us. We breached a boundary, and rather than retreating, we surged ahead with determination. As dawn broke the following morning, I found myself cocooned in his embrace, the warmth of his breath gently caressing my neck. Silence enveloped the scene. Silence reigns, devoid of clumsy excuses. A tempest is gathering, refusing to dissipate. I made my way back to my room just as the first light of dawn began to break. Mother remained in a deep slumber. I swiftly ran a brush through my hair before the mirror, a smile breaking across my face. There is no remorse present, nor any indication of existence. I experienced a sense of invincibility, beauty, and admiration. Men are captivated by that which stirs their fervor. And father? I ignited emotions within him that had long been dormant, untouched by mom for years. It started to happen with increasing regularity. I would quietly slip into his room under the cover of darkness, regardless of her presence. Silence enveloped us. There is no necessity to do so. He had surrendered. He belongs to me now. I understood precisely how to hold on to him. I would don his favorite colors, prepare meals for him during mom's busy times, laugh heartily at his amusing jokes, settle on his lap, pretending to be engrossed in my phone. There was a time when I marked his neck with a hickey. He applied layers of makeup, attempting to conceal it from mom, yet she quickly noticed. He asserted it was a burn from a curling iron. She placed her trust in him. Her trust in him was unwavering. Her eyes reflected a deep confusion. Her eyes were fixed on him, a spark igniting as he bent over with laughter at my jokes. Her intense glare when he pulled out a chair for me, leaving her standing, was unmistakable. She felt it in the air, the transformation. Unbeknownst to her, the depths of the situation were far more profound than she could ever imagine. Neither did we. On a particular night, I decided to indulge completely. Mother occupied the upper floor, engrossed in an extended conversation on the phone. I nestled onto Dad's lap in the cozy living room, sharing playful whispers of secrets in his ear. He commanded, "Halt." He asserted that it was perilous. Yet, I pressed my lips against his. He returned my kiss. And in that very house where I once played with dolls and yearned for bedtime stories, I found myself crossing a line I could never uncross, once again pleading for those cherished tales. I pressed my lips to my father's as though he were my beloved. Upon hearing the familiar sound of mom's footsteps, I leaped to my feet and hurried into the hallway. He devoted countless hours to perfecting his hair and smoothing out his shirt. She stormed in an instant later, her gaze flitting between us as though she could feel the unspoken truth, yet found herself at a loss for words to articulate it. She remained quiet. I've just stepped into the kitchen. We came perilously close to being discovered. Yet, the thrill? It only intensified our yearning for more. It had transformed into something far deeper than simple desire. Concealed domain, a paradise, twisted in its own allure. Only ours. Shall we convene in the garage? The laundry room? His work environment. I pulled him into the pantry while Mom busied herself with the table setting. Only 5 minutes. Adelini's, a mischievous grin. We were ensnared by our cravings, igniting one another's desires. I sensed him descending deeper. His writings grew more audacious. His gaze held on longer than necessary. One fateful day, I stumbled upon a new necklace resting on my bed. There is no note. None required. A modest offering. I truly excelled at dinner. Mother adored it. Father almost sputtered on his wine. A smile spread across my face. Then, fissures started to emerge. He unleashed a barrage of inquiries. He reclined in bed, his gaze fixed on the ceiling, reflecting on the night they had shared. What's the strategy moving forward? He posed a question. I merely shrugged, enjoying every moment together. This feels all wrong, Celeste. Cease this immediately. He simply couldn't. At times, he would look at me, a profound sorrow reflected in his eyes, as though he lamented the moment he surrendered. I was aware of the truth, the lingering ache, free from blame. It was an insatiable craving. He was fully committed. He desired me with an insatiable hunger. What of me? I found myself navigating the currents of authority. We lowered our defenses. Chaotic. I donned his shirt for breakfast, and Mom's eyes fixed on me for an entire minute. It emerged from the depths of the laundry basket, I remarked. Though she remained quiet, I could perceive the whirlwind of thoughts within her mind. She started to observe us more intently. There will be no more regular excursions. Discontinue her yoga sessions. The weekend retreat has been called off. Her gaze followed our every move, as though we were unfamiliar figures wearing the visages of her kin. Then the error occurred. The day of Sunday had finally come. My father and I have just come back from the store, laughing heartily at a ridiculous joke I shared during our drive. I seized his hand without a second thought. Excessively intimate, excessively gentle. Mother discovered it. She took a moment of silence before she replied. She merely watched. She was aware, and I was aware of it too. That evening, my father stormed into my room. He remained completely attired. He never touched me. He perched on the edge of my bed, his face pale and drawn. She is starting to question things, he remarked. I remained quiet. This cannot endure forever. I bolted upright, a wave of fear washing over me. Indeed, he murmured. I leaned in, my fingers brushing against his knee, making a choice. He cast a fleeting look in my direction. The stillness that enveloped us deepened. His visage bore the marks of an internal conflict, a silent battle between the man he had been and the one I had shaped him into. Yet he lingered in my room that night. That's when I realized he had made his decision. Perhaps Mom had an inkling of the tempest on the horizon. She may have noticed the signals, absorbed the murmurs, felt the treachery lingering in the atmosphere. Yet the moment had passed. We had finished concealing ourselves. We found ourselves enveloped in it. The stillness that followed Mom's departure struck me with the force of a freight train. Silence reigns above. Voice calls are not available. Emerging from the heart of the home, silence enveloped the table, her wine glass untouched after the meal. Stillness. We found ourselves solitary, confronting the stark reality. Father fell into a profound silence that lingered for days. He barely grazed his meal. He moved through the house with an ethereal grace. The walls felt foreign to him, as if they were mere strangers in his presence. I accomplished it. A sense of liberation washed over me. Her departure, I believed, validated my convictions. I had emerged victorious. Yet the silence she departed with weighed upon me more than I had anticipated. I seized what I desired. No one was left to hold me back. This house has always thrived with my spirit at its core. I had ascended to the throne. Governing a fractured realm swiftly diminishes its allure. During the initial week, my attention was devoted to rekindling our rhythm. I would wear his favorite fragrance with confidence, broaden my robe just a touch further. As I strolled past, my fingers grazed his shoulder lightly. He barely cast a glance in my direction. He would linger in the living room for hours, captivated by the old family photos, as though they held the power to come alive and lead him forward. What's with the long face? One evening, I drew closer, clad only in a tank top and delicate lace panties, and posed my question to him. She has departed. Isn't that precisely what you desired? No reply received. I continued onward. She was unaware of you, not in the manner that I am. At last, he confronted me. His gaze held an unsettling void. That is the crux of the matter. For the very first time, I found myself utterly speechless. I broke my wife, he declared. I relinquished my grip. You persisted, and I allowed it to unfold. You were a force to be reckoned with. No, he murmured gently. I truly ought to have. A fissure emerged deep within my being. Are you feeling remorseful at this moment? A sharp hiss escaped my lips. She has departed, and I remain. He turned his eyes away. I drew near, cradling his face gently in my hands. This father was your selection.
You chose me.
I was weak, he whispered, captured your heart. His hands gripped my wrists, firm yet gentle. He proclaimed, "This is not love. It never was." Our gazes met in a silent exchange. What was it, then? He liberated himself. Awakening to a sense of disorientation, I found a suitcase patiently positioned by the door the following morning. He, overflowing, remained steadfast, panicked. Where shall we venture next? I lingered in the doorway, my heart pounding, wrapped in his sweatshirt. I'm seeking assistance, he remarked. I have been engaging in conversations with a counselor. I am immersing myself in a retreat. It's time to elevate your game. What benefits do I gain from this? He looked at me, a fresh and poignant sadness reflected in his eyes. Celeste, it seems you require assistance that extends beyond my capabilities. maybe more than anyone else is capable of. Fury coursed through my veins. Are you truly just going to walk away? In the aftermath of it all, I've already lost my wife, he murmured. I cannot lose myself either. And in an instant, he vanished. The door banged closed, casting me into solitude, utterly cut off from the world. Most certainly not mother, most certainly not father. A dwelling filled with whispers and mysteries, left alone and unacknowledged. Time slipped away unnoticed, then weeks whisk away in a blur. I made the call. Him. No reply received. I contacted my mother. Nothing. Swiftly. Nothing at all. The house grew cold. Dust accumulated in the corners. I've decided to forgo perfume altogether. I have relinquished the act of brushing my hair. On certain mornings, I found it difficult to rise from the comfort of my bed. I was convinced I could rise to the challenge. They were unnecessary for me. Indeed, I certainly did. In spite of all my games and the power they bestowed upon me, I remained merely a girl, solitary and devoid of companionship. One afternoon, I chanced upon a photograph concealed within the drawer beside my father's bed. We lingered by the lake, basking in the warmth of the summer sun. Mother's hand gently rests upon father's back. Embraced them both tightly. We appeared to be filled with excitement. Finished. I studied it with unwavering focus. I ripped it apart. Not a single tear was shed. There are no tears in sight, yet I sensed a fracture within. A stillness that resonated with sorrow yet remained unhealed. Months have passed, yet the house remains in my possession. It no longer resonates as a place of belonging. A hollow vessel, burdened by a haunting history. Mother never came back. Father is dispatching postcards from the treatment center. They are succinct, courteous, and distant. He now signs them no longer as Dad. It feels like an eternity since he departed. In the den, I frequently discover myself the very origin of everything. I run my fingers along the couch where our first embrace unfolded. In that sacred space, I first confided the secrets a daughter ought to keep hidden. Did I cease? Must he really? Yet, a realization dawns upon me. Quitting is not what I desire. Neither did he. That is the reality we share.
Visage.
A wall marred by stains. Simply apply a fresh coat over it. The decay beneath continues to extend its reach. What are your thoughts on this house? It may persist, yet it shall never regain its pristine state. We set ablaze a family. At this moment, we find ourselves enveloped in a haze of smoke. On a day that was unnaturally calm, the silence shattered as Mom's breakdown unfolded. The day began just like any other morning. Sunlight streams through the windows. Birds chirped outside, blissfully unaware of the decay lurking within our home. As I descended in my satin robe, a melody danced on my lips. Father was already in the kitchen, crafting a pot of coffee. He looked up as I entered, his gaze sweeping over me with that unmistakable expression. Guilt and desire intertwine. But something was definitely off. Mother's absence from her familiar chair was palpable. Her coffee cup sat untouched, a hollow vessel of potential warmth. The atmosphere lacks the essence of her fragrance. I never inquired, couldn't care less. The house exuded a sense of belonging, as if it were already a part of me. "Good morning," I whispered as I brushed past Dad, fingers gliding over his back. He lingered before offering his reply. "Proceed, Celeste. This must come to a close immediately." I halt, blink, and shift my gaze toward him. What holds us back? His words reached her ears, spoken in a hushed tone. "Or she is almost there." A feeling stirs within me. A soft chuckle escapes my lips. Very well, she lacks strength. She remains inactive. He regarded me with the gaze of a total stranger, an utterly chilling experience. Yet here we are. He remained still as I drew closer for a gentle kiss. Yet he kissed me, returned. That was the moment. He would always return my kiss with his own. Unbeknownst to me, my mother had been awake for hours, just a floor above. Little did I know she was listening to our conversation last night. The floorboards whispered gently beyond her door. Soft, hushed murmurs drifted into my consciousness. The sound of those delightful giggles. a silence that thundered with treachery. For weeks, she had observed the subtle indications. Yet now she had become conscious. She remained awake until the sun reached its zenith. Her visage was an eerie shade of white. It seemed as though every hue had disappeared. She turned her eyes away from mine. She sank into the couch with a soft thud. With her hands delicately folded in her lap, she sat in quiet contemplation. I lingered in the doorway, composed and confident, exuding an air of certainty. "Greetings, Mother. Is everything well? Please take a seat," she murmured softly. I cast a fleeting glance at Dad. He remained motionless, ensnared in her shadow. The coffee mug trembled in his grasp. Celeste approaches. I entered the room with purpose and settled into the chair opposite her. Legs intertwined. The rope slid slightly from my shoulder. She maintained her unwavering gaze. The truth was a longing deep within me. Her eyes pierced my very being. All things. I genuinely did not grasp the meaning. What truth are we referring to? I brought it up merely to gauge the unfolding of events. Her lips pressed together into a firm line. "Cease the charade of ignorance. Do you really believe I haven't seen it? His gaze upon you, the gaze crackles with energy. It has come to my attention that there are stains on your sheets. The scent remains, enveloping my bed in its embrace. I am not easily deceived. Father has taken up residence. Vera." "Quietude," she snapped, her voice trembling with emotion. Her gaze snapped back to meet mine. "Hello, Celeste. How are you? Are you sharing a bed with your father?" A chill swept through the air. Father allowed the mug to escape his grasp, plummeted to the ground. Scalding coffee cascaded over the tiles. All remained motionless. I inclined my head. "Do you wish for me to fabricate the truth?" She flinched back. That was the only response required. The stillness stretched on without end. Father sank into the armchair, completely exhausted. Mother simply stared in disbelief. "What of me?" I maintained my concentration. "What prompted you to take that action?" "At long last," she whispered. "He is your father." "Most certainly not." "That's a cool voice," I remarked. "He is the one for you. The flame that once ignited his interest has dimmed." She struck me, demanding. My cheek flared with heat, yet I remained steadfast. A smile graced my lips. "Understood," I murmured. "Your authentic essence." Her eyes were filled to the brim with tears. She turned to her father. "What is the duration we are considering?" He remained quiet. "What is the duration we are considering?" She unleashed a chilling scream that echoed through the air. He concealed his visage within his palms, crumbling away like fragile parchment. Weeks turned into months. She inhaled sharply and recoiled, as though he had dealt her a blow. She wept, having poured her entire being into you. "This family belongs to you now. This place is yours." "You ruined it," he murmured, a hint of regret in his voice. "You pursued it regardless." She emitted a sharp, echoing cry that resonated with her. Her voice faltered. She cast a look our way, her eyes wide with disbelief, as though we were creatures from a nightmare. She erupted into laughter, a hauntingly broken sound. "It is time to contact the authorities." She brushed away the tears that stained her cheeks. "I will bring you both to your knees." "Absolutely not." Chill as the frost, I remarked. "Your affection for him knows no bounds." "What of my existence? You never really held sway over me, did you?" That broke her into pieces. She became quiet. She ascended the stairs with an ethereal grace. She reappeared an hour later, pulling 2 suitcases along with her. Father sprang to his feet, utterly perplexed. "Vera." She cast him one last look. With a decisive look, she cast her gaze in my direction. Her eyes held an emptiness, devoid of any spark. "You're not my kid." She burst through the front door, and in an instant she was gone. Maintain a sense of tranquility. Do not throw items about. No requests at the last minute, please. Just the stillness and the weight of what we have done. Father remained motionless for what seemed like an eternity. "This isn't what I wanted," he finally said, his voice empty, as if he were merely musing aloud. "Yet, neither of us intervened when we had the chance." "Yet you didn't stop it either," I whispered. He cast a fleeting glance in my direction, and I seized the moment. Overlooked, opportunities, shameful. A fracture stirs in the depths of my being. Still, he refrained from inviting me to join him. He had yet to utter the words that would signify the end. We had completely annihilated her, and we remained steadfast. Have you ever encountered a scenario such as this? I understand. Your thoughts are in a whirlwind. What lies ahead in terms of possibilities? What steps did you undertake?